What's going on, yo? Today, I wanted to talk about some alchemy, but instead of turning lead into gold, we're going to teach you how to turn a negative into a positive, or the ways that we can sometimes turn a positive into a negative. And now, firstly, and the first step of this is realizing that positive and negative are complementary opposites, meaning that one doesn't exist without the other. We've kind of been programmed and indoctrinated into believing that positive is good and negative is bad. We want less and less negative. We want more and more positive. But there's always a balancing force, because without the positive and the negative, there would be no tension. Just like a circuit needs a positive and a negative, there needs to be a potential, a differential to allow the current to pass. And the same thing is true in life. There's positive and negative, and one doesn't exist without the other. Day doesn't exist without night. Hot doesn't exist without cold. Wet doesn't exist without dry. They're always there. And so with that, and the beauty of that, is knowing that anytime you're in a situation or you're faced with any kind of challenge in your life, and if it's something that seems like it's a negative experience, then because you're experiencing something negative, or what you're perceiving as negative, then knowing that there's always a complementary opposite, then the positive also always exists, even just as a potential. And so one of the easiest ways to use this is just to look at your thoughts and look at the patterns of thinking. And this is where having a little bit of a prerequisite of some kind of meditation practice to help you grow your awareness to be able to see these things objectively. Because a lot of times when we're in the heat of the moment, then we just react, and we kind of go into our normal programming, which leads to the normal typical results that we're used to. And so it's helpful to have a little bit of awareness so that you can see what's going on when things are going on. So that's kind of a first step into all of this. But once you have developed a little bit of that, and you can see like, oh, here are these thought patterns that are negative in orientation. I don't have this, there's not enough of that, I shouldn't do that. When you start to see that, you can recognize that first and foremost, and you don't have to put a label on it. It doesn't have to be right, wrong, good, or bad. You're just noticing, okay, here are these thought patterns, and then asking yourself, is that really true? Is there a potential for something different? And just try it. What happens if you flip the other side of that? And this is actually, there's a drill, it's called the mind flip drill, and you can get a coin, or really anything that has a kind of a positive and a minus, or a heads and a tails. There's two sides to it. And you can ask yourself, well, if that's one way of viewing things, what's on the other side of that? If I say I don't have enough money, or I'm not good at that, what's on the other side of that? I have plenty. I have everything I need. I have the potential to be the best that I can possibly be. I am doing the best that I can possibly do. And if you say that and it doesn't resonate with you, then there's an opportunity. Again, it's not a right, wrong. You don't have to beat yourself up for being or thinking a certain way. You're just recognizing these things, because when you can see what often happens subjectively, meaning that you don't really recognize it because it's just your felt experience, when you can start to see the subjective objectively, meaning you kind of have a distance from it, you're able to see what's going on. Now you're able to start to make changes, because you're able to start to see the patterns, and you're able to start to see that those patterns aren't you. The patterns might create you, but those patterns aren't you. And so you can change the patterns to create something different. And this is alchemy. And that's the same way in which we can take something positive, something that's helpful in our life, something that's going well, and we can turn it back into a negative in the way that we think about it. You know, if things are going well, it's like, oh man, something's going to go wrong because it's not supposed to be like this. You know, things are going too well. It's too good to be true. And we do the same thing to ourselves in the other direction. And so again, just being aware of this, you can flip. And this is life alchemy. This is literally you're turning a positive into a negative in the way that you view things. your perspective of things has so much to do with what you actually experience. If you believe you're not good enough, if you believe you're not worthy of love, if you believe that there's not enough, and that fills you with a sense of scarcity, of uncertainty, of fear, then what do you think you're going to create in your life? If you believe those things about yourself and about the world, you are going to take actions, you are going to speak in ways, and you are going to energetically attract circumstances and people that help you to uphold that belief that you're holding on to. And so that same power can be used in either direction. Because remember, it's all in there, it's all there in potential. The negative begs the positive begs the negative, yin and yang. They all work together, and there's always a balancing act. You just get to choose how you choose to balance that and what that looks like in your life, and creating more harmony in your life. So I hope that helps. And as always, feel free to reach out if there's any extra support or anything that you would like on any of these areas. And I look forward to talking to you again very soon. Peace, y'all.